Baby.
Yeah?
You know what time it is.
Oh, I sure do.
It's Studio Johhny Q time.
I told you I knew what time it was, actually.
That means it is time to drop your nerd drawers, baby.
All right, okay.
I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm sure it's sexy.
I think it's sexy, too. Hail and well met. Well, that's just a whole lot of ugliness. That's the way the day's been going.
Ooh.
1 second. There you go. That's like one of those tests to tell whether or not you're colorblind. Can you see the number 72? No.
It's like one of those giant jawbreakers.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It looked like that as well.
Giant ball things.
All right, let me get our M50 back in working order. 1 second. And let's see here also the ceiling. While we're doing that, I'll just go ahead and say, hail and well met, fellow time travelers. Sorry for the throw up there, Randy. Welcome to Studio Johhny Q. I am the aloof goof Studio Johhny Q himself. We have Randy, aka Sandy Ravage, here with us, who is giving us some time to chat. I appreciate you, brother, hopping on here. I am trying to get my head out of my tuchus. It's been a tough one today.
Good luck. Deep breaths.
But the good thing was that Tater's been hanging out with me a little bit this morning, so that was nice. I appreciated that.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been at it since about 9, trying to figure out how to get slideshows to work. Man, I just got hurt. Although I did, I'll show you what I have been able to do. But yeah, that's lovely. Hi, Jax.
Hello, Jax.
So I actually am working off of your mic today, Randy. So if I sound light, that would be why. Since I'll be working from the computer mostly.
Okay.
All right. Let's board from last night's D&D session. Thanks for hopping on, brother. I had my back to the TV most of the time, and so it was hard for me to see chat, so I didn't actually realize that you were on until late on, and I didn't realize that you weren't.
Yeah, it was on.
Good. I didn't realize you weren't feeling good. I would have just told you to go ahead and hop off, but man, I appreciate that you hopped on and participated in the chat. It was nice. Thank you.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm good. It's good times. Yeah, it was just not too peppy.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry.
It was all right.
Was it just a dark day?
A bit. Yeah, a bit funky.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Yeah, had I done that, I would have tried to say, here, get my head in here.
It's all right. I got a couple nice, good comments in, so felt better.
Yeah, you did. That's why I saw some things that made me laugh, and I was like, "Hey, it's Shadows." It's like, "Oh, hey." So yeah, I appreciated that. Alrighty, so welcome to Edition Thru Distraction. You're twice a week.
So I was trying to do.
Video stream.
I was trying to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. Go ahead, Randy. Give me the what for. What was you gonna say?
So you were, you were doing the board game during the D&D on Discord is what I was trying to say.
Yes.
And I was watching it mainly on my phone,
Uh-huh.
and then I tried switching to my tablet, and neither one liked
Discord.
There were a lot of options that you guys obviously had using the computer that were not available on the mobile devices.
Okay.
So like you couldn't click on the chat window at all to resize it on the video display.
Gotcha.
And things like that. So I was trying to figure that out, and then there's still things with like Papa can get his camera to work when he wants to, but there's no option for that when you're. So I'm like, am I broadcasting my image right now? I have no idea. Like, there's no indication. Like one time it was like yes. Suddenly I realized that it was trying to and didn't let me know that, and now I'm like, oh no.
So
just trying to figure that out.
Yeah, when we did, we had previously done movie night, and when we had done the movie night, I had done it through a group call, and then did a share. But with this, I did it I think sharing it through the voice channel. It gives you an option to go live. That's what I was using that, and then we were using a voice channel for that, and then also the text channel for the roller, the robot, and but when we had done the movie night thing, like it did that thing where you could see everybody, but like if I clicked on me, then because I was calling in not as the studio, I was calling in as myself on the Discord for movie night, so I could just see what it would look like on the phone. And then I was able to full screen it on my phone. So I don't know if there's a way to do that or not with what I was doing. If you're saying that because you're saying you were only able to see a small portion of it.
I could see the main screen, but then for the chat window in the mostly in the upper right hand corner, it was small and you couldn't click on it at all to resize it or do anything with it.
Well, and was that the green chat?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's because that's embedded into the feed.
Okay, so that one wasn't the one you were talking about resizing.
Yeah. No, they were talking about like when you're using the like your PC and you're doing the share, it shows a little window over top of like the normal text chat, and from there you can either resize it or pop it out, and you could do some things. And then I just had that just so, since I wasn't going to be at the computer and I was going to be over there and I wanted to see people's roles. Computer, please stop.
Down from the top of your screen. Then go to settings. Network.
Oh, Alexa.
Yeah, and so that was just so that I could see what the dice rolls were. So, and that's what, like, Chris was like, I can't really read that. And it's like, you don't really need to read it. You can read the actual chat, you know. And then what I was suggesting with people possibly do as well, if they were having problems being able to do both because of their monitor or whatever, was to pull up the chat on the phone so they could do the dice rolling on their phone and the chatting on their phone, but you'd see the video full. Yeah. So that was a potential option.
On mobile, it would only you could only view one thing at a time. So you had to keep trying to switch, and it was a little clunky.
Gotcha. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. The thing was too, is, you know, I was hoping to be able to try to get through this last chapter, which I knew was going to be probably over ambitious, but I thought, well, maybe if we can get a good, clean, you know, start, and we had done movie night, so I was hoping that we had worked through a lot of our connection issues, but we didn't work through a lot of our connection issues. It's basically starting over from scratch. And then it's hard because it was like, when one person can see you and hear you, then you're pretty certain it's like, well, I don't think this is me, and I don't know how to tell you how to do what you need to do to get this to work, you know? Mm-hmm. And especially, you know, I'm dealing with people who have done some of this before, so it was like, you know, it's like, are you doing this? Have you tried this?
At least we haven't run into a situation like there used to be with, what was it, TeamSpeak, and there was another one, I think, before that we used when we were like playing WoW and stuff and set up, where there would be problems with people's sound card compatibility between the different users, so it like would suddenly be all janky and all kinds of problems. Luckily we haven't had that feedback loops and crap.
I think that's one of the things I get frustrated with. It's like, man, we were doing this 15 years ago and it's way easier now. I've just I think I've realized that I feel like I've been ruined of trying to troubleshoot people's problems. It's just not a strength I have anymore. I used to think it was a strength, and I think I've lost. I think I've lost that love and feeling. But I think the problem with Stu is that yesterday, and I was disappointed because I was getting frustrated, and I knew it, and you know, I'm not. I hate that it may have came out towards the players, and that's not certainly what I want. But you know, it's after a long day of moving everything down and trying to refresh where we're at after 4 months within the game, and trying to refamiliarize myself with the board and fine tune it. And then, you know, you're hoping to get started. And then the first thing is, you know, I can you hear me? Can you see me? Okay. Let me go in there.
How long were you guys at it? What time did it start?
We started at,
I'm not sure.
We started at 5.
Okay. I think I came in around 5:20 or so.
I could probably take a look and see when you joined the general chat. Yeah, 5:28 is when you first messaged.
Yeah, and you guys were still trying to figure out.
Yeah, we were still.
I think you did well. Yeah, just well, okay. Once I got on, I guess you had almost half an hour there to freak out before I got on, but it sounded like you did pretty good. There was only one moment really where Alexa, sit up.
Then go to settings.
Good. I'm gonna see if I could turn her volume down. Go ahead.
Alexa, get your shit figured out.
I got one of those Alexa shows, Randy.
Yeah.
I got one for me and one for Carrie, so we can have a video like intercom, and so it's easy for us to call each other with it, in theory. But it doesn't like my internet connection right now, and I need to switch it. But to switch it, it wanted me to go on and verify through Amazon or something, and that was last night when I've already had hours and hours of troubleshooting. It was like, Alexa, you can just take a flying leap, my friend. But you were saying that there was one moment.
At the beginning there for me, where you tried to pass it off as like, oh, I'm just kidding, but it was like, okay, you're actually getting frustrated.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, just take a breath, brother.
Yeah, no, that was the one. Well, this is a problem that I have in general, and to any of our friends that are listening, you know, this is not meant as anything harsh to you. This is just where I am at personally in my life, and it kind of comes with this issue that I have in general about unsolicited advice, that I don't want it. I'm just done with people's unsolicited advice. And we've gone through that, you know, and why I feel that way. And so the thing is too, is it's like when you've spent, 4 hours moving aboard and getting familiarized and, you know, all this stuff. And, you know, I'm trying to adjust lighting so you can see the things. You know, this is all stuff nobody knows that you sees that you're doing or knows that you're doing. But, you know, I'm adjusting 3 different cameras through a TV, 5 lights. I hadn't used that bot before that day and was able to get it installed and running and showing on the screen so that I could read it, you know. And I added a set of notes to the text so that, you know, to try to help, because I knew we'd have some issues with it. And, you know, if somebody says, you know, it'd be cool if, and that's a trigger for me. Because it's like, what would be cool? What would be cool is if you guys could do the simple parts, and we could celebrate that, rather than this would be cool if actually it's cool now. So, and I know that's not the way it was meant, but it, you know, and
it's your sensitivity toward it. Is you have a tendency to it pings your defenses when it's not intended that way, but it's one of those things where it's just like a button for you.
And you know, I count myself as a Vulcan. That I try to not be emotional, but man, I got a lot of emotion.
Your primordial Vulcan button.
Yeah, I got a lot of anger and hate in my heart, and then just because
the logic, you get cracks and the logic mask falls.
Yeah, I think
the primordial Vulcan peeks through.
I'm Spock. I'm half human, right? And sometimes the human part wins. More often than I like, the human part wins. So yeah, I appreciate your feedback on that. But yeah, and then the thing is like I was trying, and it's like when you try to make a joke and then nobody laughs, and then you're like, I was. And then I guess it was a pointed joke. It was a joke that was meant to inform, as a lot of jokes do. So I was trying to say, you know, guys, we can't even do this, so let's not try to make this even more complicated right now. But anyways, and then, you know, like, and then when you're trying to troubleshoot with somebody and you're like, can you do this? Can you do that? Did I lose you? Oh, I'm sorry, I was talking to somebody else. All right, that's every time that is going to frustrate me every single time. And I get it. We're living lives and you're doing stuff.
It'll get easier the more you do it. Too.
Yeah, indeed. So, and you know, I mean, it's tough too, because, you know, I was thinking about that and the scale of DMs, I don't know where I rank, but I do feel very comfortable that I'm better as a DM than I think I've been in any other job I've had in my life. And not that DMing is my job necessarily, but I feel like I DM better and I'm better equipped to be a DM than I am in any other job I've had in my life. Be that, you know, a data entry operator, a mowing the grass, or being an assistant project manager or production manager or supervisor, any of those things. But it takes all of my resources. I mean, it takes all of my mental facilities, because it is a hard thing to do, and there's so many pieces. And when it's
a lot going on.
Yeah, and so like when we're just doing it when everybody's here and I can see everybody and we can, you know, do all that, and it's just dealing with the physical board, it takes all of my resources. And you know, we usually do 4-hour sessions at least, and and by the end, Carrie calls it DM hangover. I have DM hangover usually, and so today I have DM hangover, and so that's hard just as is. But then, like I say, let's throw in 3 cameras and 7 lights and all these cords and Discord, and then doing a screen share and all that stuff, and it's just like it's taxing. It's challenging. So
there's a thing with translators where they have to switch out, like if for was like United Nations for instance, if there's a big thing going on and they have to spend hours and hours and hours debating stuff, then they'll have to have translators. So the translators end up having to like constantly switch out like every 45 minutes max, I think, is what they're supposed to do.
Because it's so intense?
I've heard. Yeah, because it's so intense so that you're trying to, because there's no like you can't just directly translate stuff. You have to like get across idioms, and you have to try to match what they're saying, what the meaning and the intention of it is, and get that across and in real time, and not make a snafu because this is a charged political event, and it's so taxing on the brain that there was one person that didn't get at least one person who didn't get their break in when they were supposed to, and they ended up passing out just because the mental taxation of it was.
I met this girl who she was a translator, but she was a translator for the army and for like interrogations, and she should probably only work for 15 minutes at a time.
Yeah, that's got to be fun.
Hold on, wait for us to pull his head out of the water before you say that.
Yeah, that's what he says. The waterboarding is not going.
No, he said, "Could you make it this temperature?" No, he means Celsius, not Fahrenheit.
He's like, you almost had him. Had the water been at 1 degree colder, hotter, you would have had him.
That's funny.
One more drop would have broken him, but you missed out on the opportunity.
Oh, hey, something I did want to share with you. We was talking about Solace the other day, and I saw that she actually did join our YouTube channel. So if Solace ends up listening to this, hey there, welcome.
Cool.
It's always nice to have friends from over the pond to join in. So yeah, it really made me smile. So, and you'd asked if I'd heard back, so I wanted to make sure that I told you that. So
very nice.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Yes. So let me show you what I was able to successfully accomplish so far. So, previously I had tried using Windows Explorer to do a slideshow, right? Well, the first thing I tried to do was using Streamlabs built-in image slideshow. And when I do that, it just rotates between like 3 pics. And it's just like, why are you doing that? Here, I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to add image slideshow. And today new, add source.
Wait, which way are you trying to do it?
Through Streamlabs.
That's a cool picture.
Let me see here.
Through Streamlabs.
Let me make this so it fits the screen. Okay, so this is it right now. So I think I have it so that it's set to do it right now. This has got like 8 or 10 images that it's supposed to be doing, and it does 3. It just rotates between 3, and I've had this problem where it rotates between 2, it rotates between 3.
Is there a third-party program that you're using with this, or is this just straight? You're having you've got a folder, and you're having Streamlabs point to this folder and saying, "Do a slideshow, everything in this folder."
This one I actually had it because the folder has more. So I was trying it with folders, but this one actually I have specifically 8 photos selected and only 8 photos. And I've also tried to remove every other slideshow that I could find in our scenes collection of scenes or whatever. Yeah. So like we have Studio Johhny Q stream settings. So I tried to. See if, because one of the things that I was reading was saying, they kept saying, well, there's a 250 megabyte limit. And originally when I tried to add 350 pictures that were like 4 megs a piece. So it's like, okay, that makes sense. So let me resize them. So I resized them. and it still was doing the same thing. I was like, well, maybe it's still because I've got too many like cached in it or something like that. So I tried to, delete everywhere I could find a scene, which is kind of hard because we have like 50 scenes. And like we talked about, we kind of need to go through those and clean them up some. But so I tried to do that. I tried to, instead of using the folder, just selecting. So I have 8 selected. And so I was able to get it to go from 2 to 3. Instead of it toggling between 2 of the Skeletor guy, it ended up, adding this third one of the demon, the winged demon. But yeah, this is not. So I was like, you know what? All right, screw you, Streamlabs. Let me try something else. We had previously tried using the Windows Explorer, the just built-in slideshow that everybody knows, loves, use, and love is maybe check your local listings, and that it doesn't want to work. So I was trying. Well, let me use like Lightroom, and so. Because it's like I got the Adobe Creative Cloud. I signed up for that, so it's like let me try using some of my Adobe products. Those are high-end professional products. So I was like, well, Lightroom is what you use for photos, so let me try that. It was like I'm looking, and it's like, how do you do a slideshow in Lightroom, the Creative Cloud version? Oh, you can't. What? No, you could do that in Classic, but you can't do it in. So this was a feature that you had, slideshow feature. You took out the slideshow feature. Okay, so let me pull up the Lightroom Classic. So if I do Lightroom Classic, I can actually get it to show like all the thumbnails, but when you go to do the slideshow, then it grays that part out. All right. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just try using something that's a little, that's all it does is just a slideshow, something small, easy, current. Let me try that. So I looked down those some freeware, and it's like, if you got a lot of photos that you want to add to a slideshow really quick, this is the one for you. All right, so I got that one. And it's, pretty much the same thing. I can see my cursor, so I could draw, cuss words with my cursor, cursing the program out. But that's about all that I was able to accomplish with that. So then I started looking into it, and I was like, well, so it seems like Streamlabs is just wanting to black things out. So let me see if I can research that as a troubleshooting thing. So, I tried to Google through that, and it seemed like, oh, well, it doesn't like, Streamlabs doesn't like hardware acceleration. So if programs are using hardware accelerations, and a lot of them are by default, try turning that off. So I turned that off, and it let me see one of the things, but when I tried to do the slideshow, it wouldn't let me do it again. So I was like, all right. So Adobe also has a program. And so it's like, how the hell am I supposed to do slideshows with Adobe? And they're like, well, you can use Spark. So that's what I was doing. And you don't do it using photos, you do it using videos, and you add photos to your video, and then you can do it. So the best that I've been able to do is that I can actually, let's see, with this one here. And you might be able to see this here. So I got to show more than. It actually showed all the photos that I had selected. So what I can do is I can create it, and I create it as a video. And so this is basically just playing a video. And it's like, I'm okay with that. I can work around that. It's not ideal. It's not optimal. It's stupid. I don't get why it's happening this way. But okay, so I can do that. Except for right now, when I'm doing it with Spark, I have to manually add each photo. Click 4 buttons every time I want to add a photo. So it's just like, how do I do this and add more than one freaking photo at a time? So that's currently where I'm at. So that was today. That's what we've been working on today. So
on the bright side, that picture of Conan facing away from the camera on the hill, looking over the scene, that's awesome.
Yeah, and actually, that's what I think what I might do is I want to go through some of our photos. But I thought before that, maybe I would just take a quick. I'll pick up the corner cam and do a quick tour of our D&D board.
Cool. You said that I thought I heard you mention something, but I wasn't totally getting everything you said. I see something saying that image slideshow is limited to 250 megabytes.
Yeah.
Of memory.
Yeah, which, okay, fine. Yeah. But I have 8 pictures selected. It's 8 megs. So why? And that's where I was saying, well, maybe if the scene, if all your collections of scenes had other slideshows and somehow it's counting those. So I was trying that, and then I was like, well, maybe it still has something in here, and that I'm just not seeing. So let me, yeah. So that was the first route that I went down, because everything was saying, well, and anytime anybody has a problem, it's like, well, it's got 250 megs, so that's probably your problem. And it's just like, you didn't ask, do you have more? It's like, well, that's probably your problem. It's kind of like the old old person we used to work with that used to, well, it's probably this. Okay, can we confirm that it's that? Well, just because you have a plausible reason doesn't mean that that is the answer. So, and a lot of times, like, you're looking at some of the stuff, and these devices from 3 years old, right? And it's like, well, the program's gone through 12 versions since then, and so then that's when I started looking more generically at, like, why am I getting black screen? Instead of, like, just the slideshow feature. Why? Because I was trying to do other things too, like, well, let me do a window share, right? Why am I getting a black screen when I'm trying to share programs? This should be like bread and butter, right? Why can't I just share a program? And it's like, when it's like, hey, this should work easily with every most modern things, blah blah blah. So it's like, why am I getting all these grayed out features? And that's when I found out that it started talking about hardware acceleration. And then I also saw things where it wanted you to run things as administrator. So, I closed and tried to run Streamlabs as administrator, and tried to run some of these programs as administrator. Tried turning off graphic acceleration everywhere that I could. And like I said, in some places it helped. Whenever I was just doing a slideshow, man, it just does not want to let you do that. So I don't know if maybe there's a third-party widget that might be a little nicer with it. But again, if I can use...
What were you saying about it would play it as a video, though?
Mm-hmm.
How does that work exactly?
Well, you can just add a video source. Like, let me see here. Like, we had done this previously where I had the time-lapse of making the rollbox.
Did you have to turn it into a video?
Yes.
Beforehand? Okay.
Yeah. So then I used.
You did that by how?
So I used Adobe has a collection of programs, and nowadays you don't buy just like a software and install it. It's a subscription service, right? So it's the Creative Cloud, Adobe Creative Cloud, and that gets you access to some programs. And one of them is a web-based program called Spark. And so with Spark, I could import images into a video and export that video, and then it's a slideshow.
Okay.
And so I can
but it's annoying.
And the annoying part is I took like 350 photos. So I was like, well, let's just random them. I don't care. Let's just random them, and we can throw it in the background, and we could oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. And then it may actually help me when I go to try to edit them down or whatever. But with this right now, with Spark, I can't find out how to add multiple photos at once. It's like you have to pick this slide, now tie this photo to this slide. Now create another slide, and let's add a photo to that slide. Now let's create another slide, and let's add another photo to that. And it's just like, So I did it with like 8 images just as proof of concept, because, let's see if that works. And it's like, okay, yeah, that did work. And it worked pretty well. And so that's what this one, not this one here, but
you need to do. You should be using PowerPoint. That's your problem.
Yeah, and that's the thing is when you look for slideshows, things like how can I stream a slideshow? Everything thinks that you're trying to do PowerPoint presentations. So I was having a problem with my Google Foo on what words. I don't think I was optimizing my search engines searches. My SEO was for crap. But so let me see here. If we do, is it this one? So I think this is right here what I'm showing. This is just what the Streamlabs default will only do. It only show 3 out of 8 pictures. And then this one here, the one's got the scarecrows and stuff, as well as some of the other photos, that's a video that I exported from Spark. So I will do that, but yeah, if I can find a way to upload multiple, that's right where I was literally when it was like, oh, you know what, I got 5 minutes, let me take a potty and come back and start our stream, our group stream. So, and you did confirm that it's showing on YouTube, correct? it originally was unlisted because I had last night's thing was unlisted.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
but it does look like it's public.
On YouTube.
Okay, cool. It does look like it's public. So, hi all of our YouTubers, anybody that's there. I manage the Twitch stream, and I think that with that chat bot that we may be able to add any chat from YouTube as well. It's something I need to look into eventually.
Ah, cool.
But I think you're able to do that. But I really. Other than the frustrations that I was experiencing with our users on using the dice roller, I was really impressed with the dice roller, and it's like, yeah, I thought that worked a lot better than even with the problems that we had. It felt better than me rolling for everybody.
Yeah, it certainly takes. I mean, that's a lot for you to have to do. You're already rolling so much and rolling against people's rolls and stuff.
Well, then it's like when I roll a critical fail for somebody, it just feels shitty. And it's just like, I want you to roll your critical fail. I don't want to roll your critical fail for you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and then I think you're already having a sort of disconnect with, doing it virtually, that you need to be doing your role, that helps put you into
and you want them to be involved.
Engaged, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I thought just that, having them make sure they're doing the dice rolls helps a lot.
Did you see where I did I did a meteor shower roll?
No, I did not. Oh, that's awesome.
It was 100 and some damage. I can't remember. It was like 40 d6 or something.
And then also
Papa was laughing. He was like, "Whoa, what is this?" I'm like, "Meteor storm."
I think I saw Meteor Storm, but I didn't see the roll, or it was hard for me to tell what it was. And because it was only showing me like 5 lines of chat. That was one thing I couldn't figure out. I could figure out how to adjust a bunch of that stuff, but I couldn't figure out really how to get it to. I could. You know what? Maybe I could do is I could probably reduce the font and then increase the size of the window. Maybe that would get more lines of text. But I digress. One of the things
it was a pretty big chunk of if you had the chat window small, it was a pretty big block of text because it highlights that part where the robot's telling you what the roll is. Mm-hmm. So it was like 1 + 3 + 5 + 6 or 40 different iterations. And
that's funny. Hold on a second. I'm gonna look at Discord. I'm gonna swap over and I want to take a look at it. Let me see here. Discord gaming text. This should be easy to find because it'll be in a buttload of numbers. There it is. 5 + 3 + 2 + 6 + it ended up being 151. 40 d6. That's awesome. One of the things that's really cool.
I think it hits multiple places at the same time. It hits that's the damage it does within 8 different spots or something. I can't remember.
That's crazy. One of the things that's neat with this is the concept of exploding die, so if you roll a die and it's the highest level of it that you get to roll again, that's a feature that you can use because that's a common feature, or it's found in multiple role-playing games. That aspect of exploding die.
I saw that there were a lot of different features that it had, but I wasn't sure what all that was going. I didn't know if it was just something cute, you saying boom after your roll or something, or if it actually applied to something. It looked like it had something about cards. You could deal cards or something as well somehow.
Yep.
I don't know if that just tells you you got a jack, or how. I don't know what that involves. Or do you set that? You set whatever the cards are.
Shuffle. Or you can deal. You can just do deal, and then shuffle will shuffle a new deck. So deal. If I deal 5 cards for me. And it didn't do anything, or did it?
It just said me a notification on Discord saying that you rolled.
Yeah, and that's the one thing too. Is oh man, I'm sorry if we were spamming everybody. You got to figure out your own notification settings, I guess, for that. Because it kept my watch was buzzing every time.
It just says /R deal 5. Studio Johhny Key /R deal 5.
Yeah, and then one of the things that's neat here, though, it looks like that you can create. You can memorize roles. So if I wanted like persuasion here. It says you create a string and you say what that string equals, and then it looks like then if you just do that string persuasion, you know what, the sidekick box probably needs to be reactivated. I bet you it's just not, the sidekick box is probably just fussy, so it's not actually doing it. I bet you that's what it is.
It was cool that you can tell it to keep the high or the low die for advantage or disadvantage situations.
Yeah, and that's what it looks like. And then it showed you too, because I've seen other rollers where it would just give you one. And it's like, I want to know if we almost, we got cheated out of a nat 20, or you avoided a critical fail with your advantage. I think that's important. So I like that it actually showed it.
Because then you can use DM discretion to be like, you know what? You got a nut 20 in there. That overrides.
Yeah. It's I think that's a place where more information is better. Absolutely. But with this, and with this way you could save these things, because I'll add it here to here's the copy. It would be something like this, Randy. Imagine that there was a slash in front of this, because it doesn't want me to use the slash. So if you had a slash before the R, and then you create a $sign or a string, and then you have,
and that's a memory feature for
and so then if you wanted to use, so what that would do is it would roll 2d20 and keep 1 plus 3, which is probably should keep the highest one. I don't think K1, I don't know what that does. But so then and then if you would do slash R string persuasion, then it should do your roll. So that you could do like advantage or disadvantage, I guess, and save those.
It remembers different settings for each player with that? Or?
I don't know. That I'm not certain. It does show a list of memorized roles. Just slash R space string lists the memorized roles. So I think this is going to be a fun feature to play with, though. So I was really, and it was nice that it was able to do it within Discord, because I thought that we might have to. There's some really low tech websites that you can use, and it's like basically you just create a room. So I could say, Studio Johhny Q D&D Live Night, and then if you guys know that name, then you could hop in, and then if you can hop in, then I can set whoever's in. You can set permissions, but basically you can just share roles that way, and it uses similar nomenclature for the commands, and so I thought we would have to do that, where they'd have to be logged into probably that, and then do their text and all their roles from that browser, but then everything else through the Discord. So it was nice being able to kind of keep it all in one ecosystem. So, but all right.
It seemed to work well too. Like everybody, once they got going with it, seemed like it worked really well for everybody.
Yeah, I guess I think it was just
general dice roll.
Yeah, it just and it's like I think next time I think it would go 12 times better. Because it's like, just make sure you're putting a space between the R and the thing, or don't put your backslash before the thing. Just some of those typos. But once you kind of get used to it and recognize it, and the trickiest thing for us was, 2d20 plus or 2d20 KH1 for keep the highest one, and it's KL1 for keep the lowest one. So that's advantage and disadvantage. So, but yeah, I was happy to find that, and happy that I was able to integrate it and get it on the stream and actually show it, and so that was good. But let's move over to here, our table, and I will maybe we can do this with a corner and a ceiling, something like this. All right. And I can move this out of the way. And actually, let me mute the computer mic over here, and Randy, I'm going to then enable my mic, so let me know if you don't hear me within 60 seconds. Let's see here, mute. And then unmute. Okay. Can you hear me on? Can you hear me?
JV? There?
You
Yeah, I can.
dick. All right. That's how I knew it. That's how I knew it was working. Okay, so let me get some lights on here.
La 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 la.
All right. There we go. I should add a little light to the situation.
And all right, so this is actually, which looking at it now, I'm kind of confused by it, but this was actually half the board. So the original board was twice the size because and you can actually find, if you look on our Instagram photos, it shows probably back in like November, I think, when we started the board, the front side of the board. So yeah, if you're looking at the overhead view from here this way, it extended. Right now it's on a 2x2 piece of no, actually it's not. That originally was on a 2x2 piece of XPS foam, and then I had another one 2x2, and so the other 2x2 on this side here. On this side here, there was actually a bridge and a moat and a tower back here and some other places, and so that was where they started. So the group had came to this castle that was like in ruins, and so they were trying to figure out how to get across the bridge. And it was fun because I was able to use Dwarven Forge had this modular bridge that they had came out, I think, with the Crystal Cavern set as well. And so when the Crystal Cavern set came, it's like, oh, what are some of the cool pieces? Because you get all these, so many pieces. It's like, what's cool? Oh, wow, modular bridge. Hell yeah, I want to use a modular bridge. So let's figure out a way to incorporate a modular bridge. So we had this modular bridge that was already rickety, and they had Shay. She has ability to communicate with animals, and so there was a giant spider who she had actually convinced to help rebuild the bridge. And
nice.
So yeah, so the giant spider, and then it was cool too because she has the ability. They all have the ability to. All the characters we're using these WizKid wardlings, and so they're the like kid. No, helps if I use a different. Use a corner cam here. So they're like kid figures, but all of them come with a pet. So like here's what they look like. So all of them have a pet. So by default, everybody everybody has a pet. And so I have a bunch of other ones of these as well. So if you do join our play, which I hope you do, you'll have some choices. And actually, Randy, I'll show you what your choices would probably be. Knowing your proclivity for being a magic user, I'm not asking you I won't ask you to do anything else than that. So, but the three choices that you have is there's a girl cleric with a winged cat. So that's the one on the left. In the middle here, we have a boy wizard with an imp. And here you have a warlock with a lizard, or kind of like a little miniature dino. So,
cool.
So you can consider if one of these suits your fancies. So, and so yeah, so they all have their pets. Well, right now they had this ability when they So kind of a little bit of the background on this, and some of this will be a little familiar to you because you played in our previous sessions. So like when you guys were playing, you guys had came across this child, Reyna, and you were helping her try to find some of her brethren. And we're playing that story, but they're playing it as the other children. So they have all had this shared dream of Reyna, and they were orphans. And as they were trying to find their way to Reyna, they had come across each other. And so the three of them had met, and they have these pets. And then they realized once they met Raina that they're not really pets. They're more like, if you've watched Golden Compass or His Dark Materials, they refer to these. They have these pets, but they're called daemons. And when you're a child, the daemons actually can take multiple shapes. But when you become an adult, your daemon will settle into a form. And so it's like it's an animal, but it's not really an animal, right? And so that's kind of what these are. These animals are more a manifestation of their magic powers than it being a creature. So there's opportunities for their pets to transform. So if they're like, when they get a crit on an attack, and it makes their pet go mondo. And Shay in particular, her magic affinity has to do with animals to begin with. Her affinity is with magic. Furion's affinity is with plants, and Shasta's affinity is with gemstones. And so she had a crit, and her pet went mondo. Right now, her pet is a tiger. Normally, it's like a cat, but so right now it's actually a tiger over here, and he's hiding. He's currently hiding. But she had the ability. The reason I was telling this backstory was because at the start of the session, her pet mondoed into a spider, and then she had befriended a giant spider. So she had these two giant spiders at one, and I think there's a photo of it that they're climbing up like a wall like this, and there's a guy up top there, and there's these two giant spiders that are getting ready to jump him. So she ended up getting the one actual spider to help her to repair the bridge, and then they started to cross the bridge, but then they started to get chased by hill giants, so they decided they wanted to destroy the bridge. So it was kind of like, open the blast doors, close the blast doors, close the blast doors. so they ended up burning the bridge, and the giant, as he crossed it, fell into the water, and so then they, once they came here, so then when it came time to move the board down, it's like, I'm only moving this part. So this actually only does represent half the board. And yeah, so then they've been trying to come through here. They originally came through here, and they had a tussle with this guy who was throwing rocks at them. And let me see if I can get the E50 to give us some tasty shots here. Alrighty, where are you at? Zoom out a little bit here.
There was a part where Shay was trying to get up on a higher level or something. And she was asking if the tiger was able to get up there or whatever.
Yes.
And you're saying, no, it's a tiger. She can't jump 3 stories or whatever.
What?
I was thinking like, what? But they morph and stuff, right? So like its stripes suddenly came off of it, and like formed into wings, and it became a bastet and flew up there. Ha!
And I this is the problem that I'm having, and the failure is me as a DM, not the player, is to, like, we've talked about this before, given some previous playing experiences, especially, it's like you don't want to say no. You want to say no as little as possible, right? And I tried to say yes a lot, and I'm excited by crazy ideas, but I'm going to say no if you're like, it's like, well, I'm just going to walk there. Well, I'm just going to climb there. And those are going to get you no's, unfortunately, right? And it's just like, oh, I'm going to have my tiger climb a ladder. Okay. Now, if it was just a 6-foot ladder, okay, fine, make a roll and we can do it. But you want a tiger to climb a 2-story ladder, and just that does not just count as movement. You're gonna have to make a roll for that.
Fine, he can do that, but it's gonna take him. He has to roll for each rung. And
yeah.
He has this chance to get a splinter and then become a little sad pussy cat for for a number of turns.
and it was okay right now because we're using like Runehammer, and I highly recommend this. This is one of the nicest things. If I move over here, you'll see this dice over here with the 16 showing, and that's the room difficulty. Mm-hmm. So any roll that you make, you just have to meet or beat, and see our little dragon head. It holds our
noise.
That was one of those things I got for Halloween at home that we were talking about.
Yeah,
They had
you
such
still
nice
gotta
stuff.
watch your back once the social distancing is over, because you're not missing.
I, I almost wouldn't be mad at you for that. Almost. Um, so yeah, so the room. I think we started this, and it's slowly gotten harder as they've progressed deeper in. But like they were starting, their rolls were like 12 or 13s, and then when and I incorporated fail dice, and I don't know where he got it from, but when I got to play once with DM Scotty at the Gen Con festival, and which was awesome, right? Because I've been watching DM Scotty for a couple years, following him on Patreon, and he posted on his webpage, I'm gonna host it. So I got to play with him, and he used this thing where they use fail dice, and if you fail a roll, you get a d6, and you get to add it, and then any time that you take damage, you can either roll the d6 to soak damage. And so you have really low hit points, but it's a way to help mitigate that. And then also, if you fail a roll, you can use as many as you want. And you may have a max on how many you could have, but it's a really fun mechanic. It helps keep the hit points low, which is a common problem in D&D as players level. That hit points get outrageous, and it makes the game a little wonky to control. And then it also, like when you really need to do something, you can. So if you're failing a roll, you've got some fail dice, it's not too hard to hit a 12. But now that it was 16, it was like, okay, well, he's going to climb the ladder. And all right, if you can make it happen, or if you're going to use all your fail dice to make it happen, then he does it. We can have that happen. And that's the one thing. It's like where I feel like I need to be better as the DM is trying to tell the players when I need more than what you're giving me. So that's something I want to work on, especially because I'm dealing with brand players that haven't necessarily played D&D at all, and so
You say once more with feeling.
yeah, and I will say it's like, okay, well you're gonna have to use more. I need more words. let's throw a couple adjectives and verbs in there, so your nouns. Yeah, it's you just got to describe. And the thing is like a lot of us are just used to playing video games. A lot of people's role-playing experiences comes from video games, right? Where it's just like, I just do this thing, I move here, I go here, I attack, I swing, and it's like that's the better words that you use, the more chance that the DM is going to be encouraged, or it helps inform what you can do. And it's just like, just don't, like, I want to investigate. No, that's an insufficient command, right? You want to investigate what? You're looking for what? What area? You're in a room that's 100 by 100. I'm gonna just generally investigate. You're gonna have to give me a little bit more than that. And
yeah, you just have to prompt them.
Yeah, and so that we do. I've recognized that a little bit, and I'm better equipped with that. But I'm recognizing that this is kind of a similar situation, and it's one where I wished last night I would have prompted the player better in those situations, but. So they came in here. There's a broken bridge. They fought this guy. He ends up getting rooted. Furin has a spell. It's like a root spell, but when the spell breaks, or his concentration breaks, it has this wild growth. And I think he rolls D4, and that's how a radius from where he is now become overgrown with plant life, so it becomes difficult terrain. And so that happened over here, and before that, this building was on fire because they had some archers up here that were throwing them, and they had gotten we use these crystals for bennies, and this is actually I think what they use as their fail dice right now, these crystals, which you guys had also used as a sort of currency. And I had one of these that I got that was a clear one. And so something happened, and so we counted as a special Benny. And so what it counted was that it was an automatic crit. You could make it be an automatic crit. Automatic hit for a crit. And so they had this Mad Bomber over here. And let me see if I can move. Yeah, what I'm saying here, let's see what I'm saying, because the cameras. All right. And apologies, I'll try to do this slow, Randy, so I don't cause too much vomiting.
Avert your gaze.
So over in here, there was a bomber, and he had his workstation, and he was going to chuck bombs at him. So they ended up, they had I think they had found some alchemist fire or something just through a search and a random thing. And he used it to throw it at the guy, auto crit him, so it blew up the building. So this building ended up being on fire, and it caught this building on fire as well. And that was helpful for them because actually there was a lot of giants in here, and the guard had made the giants work towards putting out the fire. So they had done that, and then they had kind of worked their way down over to here. Now, when they had come here, they had come with Raina, and she kind of took off on her own. But they all have the ability to kind of speak mentally and share thoughts. And so she had came in, and she was kind of nestled back in here, and she was looking for a monkey. And she said that the finding this monkey was going to be the key to finding their way back to home. And so she had used her ability has to do with like mind. That's her realm, is mind magic. And so she had influenced this guy over here, this giant over here, to aid her. And then down here there was a cage that the monkey was in. Try to set this down. And he got the cage, but when he brought it back, it was empty because somebody had already taken the monkey. And it was this guy who they had seen also, this like half hill giant. And so they've been kind of working, the last couple sessions, they've been working through that. So the giant was over here. Now that he got the cage, he was trying to be cool, but he's a giant and it didn't work out so well. So he got attacked by a couple of the giants, got attacked by some knights. There's some goblins. These goblin guys that got involved. These Pathfinder goblins. I love their versions of goblins. No. And there's even a female one over here. Who I'm assuming maybe it's just a
biologically female, but identifies.
Yeah, gender's a spectrum. So yeah, sure. For goblins as well as humanoids, right? Or other humanoids. So yeah. I don't want to be too presumptuous, but outward appearing female gerblin, and so they had kind of all gotten involved, and she had also had the hill giant place this ladder up here. And so last night's session, a lot of it had to do with them trying to get up the ladder and getting over here. Now there was the end of the previous session where we had last stopped, and this was like at the end of, I think it was at the end of November was the last time that we got to play. That Shay was over here, and Shay, one of the things I love about these new players is the first thing that they do is split the party. And it's like, yes, that is awesome. And so she has that squirrel tendency, right? Which is awesome. So it's like she sees something, she wants it, she's going for it. And same thing, Furion is the same way. It's like I've seen him just like walk, get hit by a trap, walk, get hit by another trap. It's like, the first time you got stabbed, didn't think search for traps. No, walk, hit another trap. It's like, yes, I love you guys. You guys are great. And so she was over here, and back in here there's all this loot, right? But there's also all of these corpses that are strewn through here, and this whole area has seen a lot of seismic activity, and this area up here has actually been raised, and so that's why there's this like dangerous terrain. And this actually was a building that fell over, but she was pretty content about going to try to get it. And it's like she was just going to walk towards it. It was like, you're going to walk through all these places where these 4 corpses are and this huge dead animal skull is. Yeah. Okay. But then she's like, well, maybe I'll send my pet. So that's actually where we had stopped the previous session. So she started this session by deciding that she didn't want to take that course of action And then based on some things that happened here, she decided to go over here and try to get up the ladder. She got up the ladder. Everybody had gotten up the ladder, except for the tiger who was at the bottom. And then they made the tiger end up going over to... She had the tiger hide as some of the Gerblins and the knights came over here to get into the mix. There was a captain of the guard. So one of the main factions in this world is the Supernal Regency, who they've had clashes with already. And so there was this leader here who is kind of seems to have her knights here and has also been using some hill giants and some other mercenaries to accomplish something. But they saw her in the beginning and they hadn't seen her in a while, but she made an appearance again. And she summoned something from the sky, and she had this big beastie here who she seems to have some sort of command over, and she sent it over to attack them. And currently right now he's got Shasti grappled. That was one of the last things that I think that happened last night's session, was it grappled Shasti. But when they got up here, they found a hill giant who was, it looked like one of these guys, who was chained up here. But when they got up here, this guy, the halfling giant, yeah, I'm sorry, my back is to the TV again. I really wish I would have rotated this board 180 degrees. He ended up working with some goblins over here to do something, and it caused several of the crystals in this area to light up, and energy from this crystal in particular was beaming over to the giant. He got transformed into a sort of aberration, and so they've been working towards fighting him. They have an immovable rod that they had looted through a random roll, which actually we were doing an old school roll table, and they actually got an immovable rod, which was awesome. And so they've been having they are really creative with how they use it. So they wanted to try to put it into his eyeball, and but it ended up being a critical fail. So it's now currently fallen. But you got the pet up here and pet down here, and then Shay at Christmas time they got visited by the Festivus fawn, and I can't remember off the top of my head what his name is, and but he came in. Flutie, thank you. It was Flutie the Festivus fawn, and yeah, and he believes in making Festivus fabulous, and he gave him some fabulous gifts. So she got these two sais that are fire and ice. They have snakes at the end of them, and because she had previously had a lot of experience with tangling with snakes, and so she has two sais, and if they both hit, she has the option of leaving one in, and it'll do automatic damage of that type, either fire or ice. So she had done that with him. The Furion, he has a shield that if he takes critical hits, it actually absorbs, and he can fire magic out of it, which he hasn't done. I don't think he's taken on critical hits yet for it. And then Shasti has it's called the Hatchet of Snatchet. So it's a hatchet that she can throw and return, but it also has the ability to steal abilities from people. So that was the Flutie's gift to Shasti. So yeah, so she had attacked him, but he ended up pulling it out with a natural success. So he now is wielding her weapon. And yeah, I think that's kind of pretty much a recap of this board and where we had come. So let's show you here a little bit this area up here. Let me see here. So you got the crystals here, and of course all this stuff is super cool from Dwarven Forge. So this actually lights up. Let's see if I can. Sorry. Which is probably hard to tell with all, I got 15,000 lights on. But this lights up.
Yeah, I love those pieces.
And this piece in particular was the one that the lead sculptor for Dwarven Forge had commented on Instagram, and said, "Oh man, I designed this piece." And he's like, "You really make it come to life." And because I had some shots where light were coming through the thing, and it was like, "Oh," it's like, "Man, you really made my day." So yeah, so this is lit up. Yeah, and like this lights up too. These things over here. And they've got some nice ones where it's like torches and things like that. Let's see here. Yeah, you can see. We still got too much light. Hold on. Oh yeah, you know what time it is. We're gonna create a little mood in up in here. Mm-hmm. All right, and if we. Thanks, Tater. Appreciate that, man. So he loves the details. Yeah, there you go. Look at that.
Nice.
So.
I love a little dramatic atmosphere.
Oh yeah, anytime you can throw some lights in, that's
little ambiance.
Randy's always like, Randy. No, I don't want to put a battery and laser. I mean, I do, but I also need to be done with this piece at some time. If you could add a pneumatic lift that would activate a disco ball with lasers, and then it shoots confetti out, but only if it hears a certain sound. When it hears people scream, like you'll have an audio that if a pitch of a certain decibel level, it'll kick the confetti. You dream bigger than anybody I know. All right. I mean, if you're gonna dream, why dream small, right? All right.
Yeah, now I'm featuring, or I'm thinking of, like, there's a giant crystal sphere, and based on where you have your fig touching it, it's gonna create a variance in an oscillator.
So when you're standing on it, it lights up. So when you stand on it, it actually lights up or something.
Creates different tones, and then that triggers the sound cues.
Yeah. It's like how I can't even get our little.
That all sounds awesome to me. I love it all. I'm on board.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, Randy, this isn't enough. Well, I'm just saying. So I think that's kind of where we're at with the board. We're going to try to meet again on Wednesday to see if we can finish this, which will hopefully be an end to the chapter. Oh, also, when they were up here, Raina asked if they could find the monkey, and they almost had this guy killed because they were doing some serious damage to him, and but they threw the switch again, and it seems like it's healed him some and made him even stronger. But when that happened, that they heard a monkey scream from over here. There's a cage. Uh-oh. So that's kind of where we ended the session. So I think that we are close to finding a conclusion to this. But there's a lot going on because they've got this giant here. They've got this winged creature over here that is no joke. These giants, they hit hard if they get involved. So it'll be exciting. And the room difficulty is challenging. That 16, there was a lot of failed rolls. But so that's where we're at. Really happy with this board. That's the thing is, it takes work to build this, but not as much as to be honest, not as much as I thought. This I think I built this whole thing in one day. I did it like on a Tuesday and we ran it on a Wednesday, and but we've gotten like 6 sessions out of it, so it's a gift that keeps on giving. So but we'll be glad to be able to retire it. And what was really nice was actually moving it down yesterday, and I was going to post today. I haven't posted Instagram today. Today's Instagram post is probably going to be that this has actually got these metal panels. Let's see here. So this is a metal panel, and a lot of the Dwarven Horde stuff has magnets on it on the bottom, and so they stick to the metal panels. So it was mostly, there's 4 panels here, you know, is able to move them pretty much as is. Although this thing has got 2 tiers, so I had to move the top tier, move the second tier, then I could move the 2 panels. But still wasn't too bad. Was not nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. But so yeah, so that's that. Let me see here. Where we're at. Yep. Okay. So let's move over to the computer, and I'm going to switch the mics again. So let me know if I go silent, Randy.
What's that?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I switched mics. I'm switching back to the PC.
Gotcha.
All right. So I wanted to see if I can just show some of the pictures that we've been working on. All right. So if I do it like this, we go into documents, we go in, or not documents, we want to go into our desktop. And then today's pics, today's shortcut, we got folder. Okay. Now, can I share this at all? And I don't think I can, but let's see here. If I add a source, we're going to add a window capture, new source, photo 2, capture, and source. And if not, then I'll just share my display if I have to, so that we can make this work.
Screen went dark.
Yep.
There you go. Whoop.
Nope, it went dark. Yeah, see, this is what it's doing. All right. So let's do this instead. If we minimize that. Let me actually bring the chat over. I got 2 monitors, so I'll just make this the one monitor and we'll just share this monitor. But I do want to be able to see the chat. Okay, I can see chat there. Minimize Discord, minimize this. Let's remove that. Yes. Okay. Let's try this again, Randy, where you're going to do add a source. We're going to add a display capture and second display capture, add source. All right. There we go. Now, if we hey, all right. So let's see if this works. Yay! Okay. All right. So this is our barbarian. You're able to see this, correct?
Yep, looks good. Oh my god, he just changed into a wizard.
Magic.
Crazy.
As if by magic.
It was an illusion.
Spirits of illusion. He's censored in China. Why is he censored in China?
It's a blurry dwarf.
Oh. the way that they do the internet. Hold on, I want to take a look here at our elfling prints. I love his earrings. I love that there's that much detail that you can see his earrings so strongly. One thing is that when I see these zoomed up photos, it's like, I wanna, it's like, you gotta let these things be done. It's time to move on. But I wanna. There's our prisoner. I think to me, I think he's McConaughey. For me, this is McConaughey. That's going to be his name. And they're going to say, "How you doing?" He's like, "I'm not all right, all right, all right." And I do think he's the one I'm going to keep because I try to keep one for myself out of sets of things that I make. So I think he's the one I'm keeping. Really happy with his skin tones. He looks like he's been under some duress. All right. There we go. I love.
Run away from him.
You can't see it with these angles, but actually, his open wounds, I put gloss on those, so they're extra gross. Like this hole in his back. Those are
nice.
I don't know if I
can. Little Uzi.
Yeah. I got an Uzi at the house. Sorry. But yeah, he looks pretty dope. Our Reaper guy.
Nice.
Oh, okay. Let me try next folder. Our mummy. Are you my mummy? Are you my mummy? I saw where somebody had, from that episode, you remember they had those horrible looking gas mask face things where their face looked like a gas mask? I saw where somebody had made one of those so it looked like their face had a gas respirator coming out their mouth hole.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, I don't know whether I support that or not. I'm not sure you're making things better or not.
It's so creepy.
It was creepy looking. And he did a really good job of from the photo at least, it looked like he did a really good job of marrying his skin tones to his natural skin tones. But he had glasses on, so I think it may have helped hide where the appliance was. A Gerby. Yeah. It's part Murloc. Our Cyclops. I like this shot here of his back. You can a lot of variation in the skin tones.
Yeah, looks good. Looks like he goes around going derp derp derp.
Yeah. Can I hit you with my axe? Please. I really would like to hit you with my axe. I won't do it all. Ish. This orky guy. Now, in the spirit of full disclosure, I had a very poor job of gluing his hand to his arm. And if you look, you can see, especially here, you can see how wonky it is. But I just took it as, he's had some sort of accident, and he broke it and it didn't get set right. So he just got a little wonk hand. That's why I call him Cool Hand Luke.
It's so cool, the individual links in the chainmail and
Yeah.
folds in the leather satchel.
Yeah, and again, these were Zealot miniatures. Easy to find, but yeah, I think this was a Kickstarter that I backed with them. But yeah, I'm definitely buying more of Zealot miniatures because the detail on these were so much fun.
Did a good job with the bases too.
Thanks. Yeah, I was happy with the way that those came out. They do give a lot of life. To me, it's that the secret sauce, and I learned that from Black Magic Craft, is the construction sand. Because it has, I just thought construction sand was like play sand, and it's not. It's gravel, you know.
Mm-hmm. A lot of variants and sizes and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And it's great for this scale. It's great for, I guess this would be 28 millimeter. I think that's that folder. Let me switch to the next. You printing?
Somebody is.
Check out that bad boy.
What?
My man is large and in charge. I like that he's so big that like how blurry his wings are when I was spinning it. And the nice thing is, with these photos, they're such high res that I can, I'll be able to zoom in and crop out stuff. And his wings, I like the veins that are popping out of his wings. And then, so I was trying to do. Say that again.
The toothed intestine flail whip thing that's no joke.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. Do you think you have to brush those?
Brush off.
No, you just have to whip people. And so then I was trying to do some dynamic photos. I was trying to get, a rotating shot of kind of everything, and then just tried some different shots for. And you can see some of the variation in the skin tones there.
It's like the potion bottle.
Yeah.
Color.
And then it got glossed as well. That was another thing where it's like, I really should hide. No, let it go. I want to do more with this. No, let it go.
Every barbarian loves his lip gloss.
Yeah.
Can't leave the cave without it.
I remember the first time I kissed a girl with lip gloss, and I was not a fan. I should have never put that on. But really, the taste. I was a youngin', and I remember a girl kissing me and just put lip gloss on before she did it, and it was like, that tastes horrible.
You gotta have they got flavored ones.
I think it was. I might have been,
good
but
flavors.
Yeah, I think it might have been flavored, and that was the thing. It's like I remember when I was in, what was it? I think it was the 5th grade. That was the first time that I came upon those scented markers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh man, some of those were great, and then some of them were like, oh my god, that's horrible.
It's always good when they encourage kids to sniff markers.
Yeah, exactly. Future huffers.
Huffers in training.
I remember my dad telling me, trying to warn me against the dangers of huffing, and said that they had some people. He worked for a chemical company, and that there were some people that had they'd take like surgical masks and they would spray the surgical mask and then put that on like the face to huff.
Mm-hmm.
That just melted their brains.
Nice.
It's like, I had a science teacher too. He came from another state. He said that the state that he originally came from, that there were some kids that at a party had drunk some liquid Drano and it killed them. Ate right through their stomach. Ate liquid Drano to eat right through your stomach. It's like, whew, yeah. Oh God, that's horrible.
What the
Oh man. Yeah.
There's such a thing as well, I can't think of what it's called right now, but the like Darwin Awards and stuff, and natural selection.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you were going to have kids, so probably better you didn't.
That's true too. It always seems like the people who should have kids don't, and the people who shouldn't have a ton.
Yeah. I celebrate the bumper sticker that says "Stupid people shouldn't breed," but then I'm also not for state enforcing people to not be able to breed either. So what are you gonna do? Can't make. It's like it's like I heard somebody commenting about this, that somebody can have their rights to their kids get taken away, right? So that their kids get put into custody. That does not keep them from having more, and they do. And it's just like, you can only take them away once they've screwed them up. Can't preemptively prevent them. I was like, yeah. Unless you're, what is it? Is it China that they still have that where you can only have one female in the family? Is that still a thing?
As far as I know, yeah. I don't know if it's still that way or not, but that's what.
Yeah, you're in fact finding.
The last thing I heard back in the day was that it was.
I never heard that they changed it. I forget
if there was a limit on how many boys you could have or not.
I don't think so. I know
there was, but it was. I don't recall, but it was. Yeah, you can only have one female child, I believe.
Here you can start to see a little bit of a shine on some of his wounds.
Bro, that's some harsh road rash, man.
Yeah. Dude, you might want to get some Bactine or something.
Might want to slap a little Band-Aid on there, dude.
Yeah. You're gonna want a bandage or something.
You should make a tiny
this shot with
Hello Kitty Band-Aid and put him over one of his wounds.
That's cute. Except for that Band-Aid would have to be like 1 millimeter by 3 millimeters.
Yeah.
And he's got this guy here. He's kind of got the one eye. It's almost like swollen shut. So he's got a lot of gloss on that. That'll make it look all festering. And his lip as well got a lot of shine. Eyeballs and lips are, and fingernails are gonna always be kind of go-tos for me to do some gloss. Because any time I can add a little gloss to it, I'm about it. On him, all the creatures It's funny.
Great
I'm looking
result.
at this and it's just like, okay, so this is probably like 10 times larger than the original on the monitor. I'm looking at it. I'm like, man, look at all those. Screw it. Oh, no. That's because I have like 12 lights on it and zoomed in.
His face looks really good. I like the difference in color there, and his horns look amazing. The texture, the color texture.
Thanks, man. I was happy. He's one of my favorites.
Really
Yeah, he was one of my favorites. That bass in particular is really cool. All right, so that's another folder. All right, then.
He's got some sexy legs.
Yeah, he does. Do you find my legs sexy, He-Man? By the power of Grayskull, say. All right, slideshow. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, I swapped out for some of the other things because I also want to take pictures of the beholders and all that stuff. So here's where I swapped out, and I decided for some of the bigger guys that I would incorporate them here on the.
That you would what?
I took a picture of a couple of the bigger Zealot miniatures with a different background. I didn't do it for the smaller ones because the ones that had the bases that were like rock and grass, but for the ones that these two that didn't, I went ahead and took pictures. And here's our dragon. You can see I actually added eyeballs, added irises to him.
Nice. That's good. With the bigger ones, you might want to put do some that have a small figure in with them, so you get a sense
of scale.
Of the size.
I did not do that. I should have. You're right. You're absolutely right. And here's our big head Todd.
Wait a minute. What the hell just happened? There's a paradigm shift there. We're shifting universes here.
Dragon takes the form of Big Head Todd. That's right. This is a Mandela effect. In your world, it was a dragon. In my world, it was. There was a movie, I think, where Bobby Benson played a mentally challenged child, and he always had this really glossy lip. And whenever I see this, it makes me think of that.
Who is it?
Bobby
Benson?
Bobby Benson. Who I... Also Robbie Benson. Look at those eyes. Yeah, here's the picture that this is what I remember him as. I will put this in chat 1 second.
Huh.
Take a look at that photo. I'll post it in chat. See.
Sorry, looking at the Robbie Benson. I don't recognize him.
That's this link here that I sent. See if you recognize him as a younger lad. This is where I recognize him. Because if you don't recognize him from that photo, then you won't recognize him.
Yeah, it's not ringing any bells.
Wow. He aged well. So let me see.
Looks like one of the kids on like 8 is Enough or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was appeared in the sports film One on One and Ice Castles. He was on the TV show The Legend of Prince Valiant. Let me see here. Yeah, I seem to remember that it was a TV movie that he was in.
Oh wow, he's got really pretty blue eyes.
All right, let's see. This would have been in the 70s. Let me go way, way, way back. Jory and Jeremy. Search for Tomorrow. Wait Until Dark. Boy tossing ball, uncredited. I was the boy who tossed the ball. All right. Remember when? All kinds of strangers. Let me see here. Bobby. He was in a movie based, I think, that was.
I'm seeing a lot. Okay, just based on the pictures I'm seeing right now, it looks like he was the voice of the Beast in the animated Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, wow. Huh. That's crazy. I didn't realize that. Let's see, he was.
Huh.
Two of a kind. That's what it was. Noli has just turned 21 but is mentally challenged and acts more like 8 while claiming that she only wants to help him. His smother actually likes things that way. Huh. Two of a kind. It was 1982. Images. No, I'm not. But yeah, that was. So it was in that movie, Two of a Kind, and I seem to remember that one of the affectations that he incorporated was he always kind of had this like slobbery lip, lower lip, and so that's what Big Head reminds me of over here. All right. Let's see here. It's he's got good hair as an adult too. And then now our Dalek, Randy here.
Voice.
Here's one with the brain tentacles in focus.
You have to implement something in the gameplay where he like flies out of the enclosure, and you have a person like close their eyes, and then you have a bowl of wet spaghetti, and you make them put their hand in the wet spaghetti.
Yeah, he's swallowed your weapon. If you want it, you're going to have to reach in and get it, but you got to get blindfolded. I remember doing that as a kid.
Some peeled grapes for something else. And the old elementary school haunted house.
Yeah, it's funny. I do remember that. And then here's him. What do they call that? Au chapeau? What's the French term for without hat? Randy, you're my
I've never heard the term before.
Isn't chapeau? Isn't that hat in French?
Yeah.
And I think "ah" it means without.
Yeah. AUX. Cool.
I think I only got that from listening to Mike Myers. How do you spell chapeau?
Oh, the X is dependent upon. It's AU.
Okay.
Oh, chapeau. The X is dependent upon.
Oh, chapeau.
Probably. The French is one of the things. It has masculine and feminine. Like every word, pretty much is either masculine or feminine.
Yeah, it is.
Gender. Bleh.
You mean like sodas?
So it changes things. Sometimes the ending of that word or word that precedes an article or whatever.
Oh, that means with hat. So it's not. So à chapeau is with hat. I remember Mike Myers describing, he played a character that wore a helmet. It was a kid that wore a helmet, and he commented, and he said, I think he said he was à chapeau, so that's meaning with hat.
Okay.
With helmet.
Sans is without.
Sans. Okay, yeah, sans, because like sans serif means without feet. And font language, you have serif and sans serif, or serif, sans serif, and that's the difference. Like if you look at a font like Arial would be a type of sans serif font, because it doesn't have the, like if you think of a T where you got the little pointy parts on all the things, you know what I mean?
Pointy parts on a T?
Yeah. So like a serif font, examples, images. So yeah, here's an example.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah, I'll add it here to link copied. Here's an example of. So it's got all the little pointy bits at the end to make it fancified. But that's where I became familiar with the term sans, meaning without. All right. Let's see here. Back to our slideshow. And you can see our magnets. Now I will, with him, I am going to go back with the magnets and the also the 2-part epoxy on the bottom of his helmet. And I'll touch those up with metal paints so that they'll be incorporated a little bit better. He's watching me. Oh, and you can see here, Randy, it's blurry, but you can...
Actually, width is a VEC.
Well, I saw that it said like femme au chapeau, and it said woman with hat, so I'm pretty... It would make sense given the context. And Randy here, I did want to point out, if you can take a look at this image that I'm sharing. This one. Let me know when you're seeing the eye look right at you here. Let me know when you can see that. Now, nice. What I wanted to point out here, though, is his plunger. I glossed his plunger so you can kind of see how it's reflecting.
Oh, wow.
Because it's like
some
that.
People pay extra for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you got a plunger, odds are it ain't gonna be dry. So yeah, that got glossed up.
Nice.
All right. And then here, next is our beholders. So.
In the old Doctor Who, sometimes when they fired their exterminator rod, their weapon, it was like, maybe it didn't happen, but this is what I remember. It's like, the effect was that there was a piece of paper or something that they quickly like moved in and out, so it had like the piece of confetti that was like going back and forth. And that was the effect of it firing or something.
That's crazy. He just moves backwards, Randy, but he changes colors.
Nice. Cool. He changes colors.
All right. Did you ever have one of those T-shirts that changed color based on heat?
I don't think.
When I was in high school, so like
maybe.
mid-late 80s, they had some clothes. They didn't do well, I think, when you washed them, but yeah. They had some.
I don't know. I don't think I had one. I seem to remember there being something like that, like a sweatshirt or something that had a heart on it, and it was kind of puffy, and it was supposed to change colors with heat, but I wouldn't mind. I don't know where I remember that from.
And then I'd heard, and I'd forgot about these, but there's a rapper and he was talking about freezy freakies. He's like, I remember freezy freakies. He said, let's get
My
laser-cool.
mom
back
said that she
laser-cool.
saw Robbie Benson in Evita in 1986.
Wow. Evita. Oh, and I was going to say, I think he was also in, pause this. He was in a movie, I think it was him. It may have been Matt's, not Damon, but the dark-haired Matt that was in Matt Dillon. There's a book that we read in high school that really stuck with me. My Name is Asher Lev, and it's about a kid who is an art prodigy. And I told that teacher who assigned it how much I liked it, and he recommended another book by that same author whose name I'm sure I'll pronounce this wrong. I'll write it first before I slaughter it. I think it's Chaim Potok, Chaim, I think. And his stories often deal with like Hasidic Jews, Orthodox Jews, and so there was another one called The Prophet, and there was a TV movie based on it, and I think Bobby Benson was in that. Let's take a look. Let's take a little looky-loo. Bobby Benson, Prophet. So maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was movie Prophet Chaim. Oh, the movie was called The Chosen, but it was an adaptation of, I think the book was The Prophet. 1981. Danny and Reuven become good friends, even though they are from different branches of Judaism. Danny's a Hasidic Jew, and Reuven is a Zionist. And I remember the one who is the one who's the Hasidic Jew. He has photographic memory, and his church it was like they actually kind of like would do things with numerology, because I guess these words in the religious texts, they all have numbers associated with the letters. And so you could take, say the word was good, and so you could take good and say that has a value of 64, and then you take self, and it has a value of 13, and then if you add those two together, it equals the same value as evil or something like that. And so they would use ways of showing that, illustrating things using these numbers, and it was like, that's interesting and dangerous. And it's just like, oh yeah, you mean like how we wield all scriptures?
How what?
Pretty much it applies to scriptures in general. Anybody's religious text. Interesting, but can be dangerous.
Yeah.
But
I heard where did I see that? Oh, it was a documentary with Leonard Nimoy before he passed, obviously. But pretty close to them, I think.
So this is
talking about.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say real quick that it looks like that the book may have also been called The Chosen. I didn't think that the book was, but yeah, I guess so. The Chosen. I was thinking it was The Prophet, but must have been The Chosen. Huh. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was interview with Leonard Nimoy, and they asked him where the Vulcan hand.
Yeah, I know you were going with this. Yeah.
Yeah, and he said that it was from when he introduced it, and it was introduced when he basically went into Vulcan heat and couldn't tell anybody what was going on because it wasn't talked about and he had to get back to Vulcan where he was going to die.
That's
like
oh
the
yeah, I
Vulcan
can't.
bombing thing.
Yeah.
And that's the first time that you're introduced to other Vulcans, I guess, within the original Star Trek.
Vulcan heat cycle.
And so you were.
What do they call that? It's
not
not
T'Pol.
Ponfar. Ponfar, yeah, it's Ponfar.
Yep.
But yeah, he said he actually got it from church as a kid, right? That's
yeah, he was like, well, he introduced it then because he thought that there needed to be, like, it's the first time you see other Vulcans, and he thought that they needed something there. So he did that, and he got it from when he was like 8 or 9 with the church, whatever, with his
synagogue
family. And it was like old school Orthodox, so like the women were up in the balcony, and he was down in the ground level with his grandfather, his father, and his brother. And some guys came out, and I think he said there was like 4 or 5 of them or something, and they were wearing kind of robes or something, I think. And they started chanting, and they were holding their hands out in front of them, and they were doing at some point they were doing the Vulcan hand sign. And they kind of got real fervent in their chanting and kind of animated, I guess. And this father was like, "Don't look," and it was supposed to be that you're supposed to avert your eyes because that, I guess, the hand symbol was
sacred.
Looked like the letter, the first name of God, or the symbol for one of the names of God or something.
Okay.
And they were supposed to be summoning or invoking or whatever the feminine aspect of God and having her do a blessing upon the congregation or something. And you weren't supposed to look upon it because, to gaze upon God, blah, blah, blah. But that always stuck with him. So that's pretty crazy. He said like the next day after that aired, there were people in the street doing that.
Yeah. And probably some religious people were pissed.
Yeah, I'd never heard anything about it before now. And,
yeah.
You would think that. My mom said the same thing when I told her, that she was like, "Yeah, I bet that went over well with religion." Like,
yeah.
That especially like if that's the secret name of God or something, and he's like blatantly plastering that over everyone.
Ask Bruce Lee how well ancient cultures handle when you reveal secrets. Bruce Lee was criticized by the East for bringing his teachings to the West. There you go. There's a good shot of the dragon right there. There we go. Yeah. And you can see his eyeballs.
Voice.
Yeah, it's funny too because you mentioned that because it was like God, you're not supposed to look directly at God, right? You're supposed to avert your glare, like in Raiders of the Lost Ark sort of thing. And the name, are you familiar with the name Yahweh? Yeah. I believe that the traditional spelling of that is YHWH.
The Last Crusade. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, real testament of God stuff. Fire and brimstone. But yeah, so in chat here, I think it's YHWH.
Yeah, we've seen it. We've seen it with a Y. That's the typical name, the typical way that we're used to seeing it. But he says it in Hebrew or whatever. It's actually spelled differently.
Yeah, and
I forget an I or an L or something.
The thing is it doesn't have any vowels because the name is supposed to be impronounceable. The name of God is supposed to be impronounceable, so it doesn't contain any vowels. But what do? We figure out a way to say it. Don't have any graven images, except for all the graven images you have. Those don't count. Whatever. This is a nice shot. Here you can see his butane fueled rocket. His poo power propulsion. Take a look at this shot, Randy. You can see all the different colors in his skin tone here.
Oh, nice. You see a lot of that color detail with shadowing and stuff with the purples and yellows poking through for the highlights. Nice.
Yeah. I this is definitely the most successful.
So nice.
This is
gloss.
Thanks. Yeah, this is the skin tones. This is, you know, it's like, okay. I'd watched some of those professional painters on for sideshow collectibles and these high-end, you know, nerd collectibles, and they were showing that they do a lot of stuff with washes, and you know, for skin tones that they'll, you know, I put the blue wash on, I put the red wash on, I put the yellow wash on, and it's like, huh, okay, and it's like, yeah, all right, I'm feeling that. So it was definitely a step in the right direction. Felt like I learned a little something. Let's see, we got our. Yeah, there you go. So, and then our.
So here I go again. I'm like, oh, you need to like make it so that wouldn't it be cool if.
Yeah, I know.
You like rig up a smoke machine so.
All right, and then here's our Cthulhu. Get some ominous down below shots.
Sleeper awakes.
And these are, I like these shots here where you can see the before and after of the beholders.
Nice. Very nice.
It's like, oh yeah, it's because, you know, you see the painted mini and you kind of forget. It's like, oh, you know what? There is some imagination that you have to do here when everything is the same color.
Did good there with the tartar buildup.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, he's got some gum disease.
Damn, gingivitis is real, son.
Man, apparently you ain't beholding no floss, son. Yeah, and here you can see, so the colors that we used, I think it's red, blue, green, yellow, orange, purple. There's one that's like a pearl one. We did a pink one, so he's got pink eye, and then and then he's got a brown eye. I think those are the colors. I think that was the 10 that we ended up. Oh, and there's a black. I think there's a black eye. Black eye as well.
You should do one where he has cavities and stuff, and he's got fillings, and one where he's got a grill.
I'm sure there's a picture of a beholder with a grill. Let's check that out. Beholder with grill. Images. No. Wow. The internet is coming up with nothing that's. Well, we may just have to do that then. If the internet doesn't want to bring up anything with it, then. All right. So how are you doing on time wise? We're at the end of our 2 hours, my friend.
I'm good.
All right. But we did get through all of our pictures here. So, you have anything for our mental health minute for today? If not,
nothing in particular.
Yeah, I was.
Just, make sure you're, step out in your backyard or something and get some fresh air.
Yeah, that's a good one. And
keep your head outside the door.
If you get a chance, do something for somebody else. If you're feeling, that's one thing I was thinking about in times of distress, and it's hard when you're in the deep dark hole. But there's some times when you're a little bit more functional and it's a little bit more low grade. Try to do something for somebody else. Think about maybe a friend that you ain't talked to in a while, or just send them a text, or send them an I love you, or maybe even a little gift or something. It was nice. We've had a friend of Carrie's has dropped by a couple times during here, and just dropped by and dropped off some baked goods, knocked on the door, dropped off baked goods, and even say anything, and just left, and something like that.
Nice.
And if you I find that when you're able to do something for somebody else, that feeling that you get helps to be able to permeate through some of that yicky feeling. So
yeah.
that's always something good to do. But yeah, just because that you're in the quarantine, be sure that you're getting some fresh air, and you can always go for a ride. We have an outer belt around our fair city. You can hop on it, and if you go all the way around, it'll take you 1 hour. It's 60 miles. It takes you 1 hour to go around. But you can, if you just want to get out and just listen to some music, put the windows down or something, not think about it. But I saw a guy I used to work with, and I follow on Instagram, and he lives out in West Jeff, and he was saying, I'm just explored all these back roads that I've never been down, and it's like, yeah, that's a great idea, especially that area. It's more out there by the parks, the Darby parks and stuff, and it's a nice, lot of farm fields and stuff like that. But
where again? What area?
He's out in West Jeff.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and so he said that he was just driving through some of those back roads, and I know I'd done that before. Like I'd started at Darby Park and had just kind of gone through some of those areas, and that's always good stuff. But yeah, so I think that's a good one for today. And let me see here. I don't know whether we still have. Let me pull up the chat. I don't know if we still got our Tater with us. I think Tater probably had to drop here, but we appreciate him being on early, and his continual support is much appreciated, as well as you, my friend Randy. I certainly appreciate you being here and being able to talk with you twice a week. Through this has been very helpful for me mentally. So I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And
miss you, buddy.
Yeah, and again, like last night, man, even though you weren't feeling good, and that you still hopped on, I appreciate that.
I've been trying to make sure I log on for everything.
Yeah.
I'm just lurking.
Yeah, and that's anybody, you and anybody is, I appreciate it. I'm to get to the next tier, I have to average like 3 viewers or something like that, and then have 50 subs is what we need. So, just having somebody on is certainly helpful, even if it's just lurking. We appreciate that. But you have anything interesting planned for the weekend?
I've got another Walmart and Sam's Club pickup to do.
Sorry.
Looks like it was a little easier this time, now that I know what to expect. Getting those set up. You got like a 2 to 3 day waiting window.
Yeah.
That far out, and you have to get, like, if nothing is available at one time, then just check back later, or maybe after midnight they might refresh or something, or the next day might be available then. I still anticipate, based on what happened last time, that I won't find out until right before I go to pick it up that they won't have like 15 of the items that I thought that they was going to be in the order. But
when I've been using the Kroger pickup for a while now, like way before any of this craziness, and so I was used to how it worked. This last time when we went, they had 4 people bringing the groceries out. Usually it's just one person. Usually you're waiting too long. But whatever, but it was out there, but it was 4 people that they had out there, which didn't seem to make a lot of sense. 2 of them had masks on and 2 of them didn't. It was kind of odd. But Kroger's is really, we're hiring people because they're just they've got this really tight demand, and so you're probably getting a lot of people that aren't very experienced that are doing some of this stuff. And
what?
Yeah, and this is anecdotal evidence. But for example, Carrie, she's a pro at this, right? She's been doing this for year and a half now, and she's like, "Well, that's weird." And it's like, "What?" She's like, "I ordered 8 bananas, and they gave us 8 packs." I'm like, "You normally order them like per banana?" She's like, "Yeah, that's how they make you do it." So I did it the way I always do it. I ordered 8 bananas. We got 8 bunches of bananas.
Huh.
So I've been eating the hell out of some nanners.
Yeah, they might have changed something in the app and stuff. Like I noticed in it was in Walmart. You can actually now choose between, I think one of the places I saw it, you can actually choose between whether you meant a bunch or individual, I think. I saw it somewhere.
Hold on.
But yeah, I'm not digging that too much because they're supposed to be trying to like pick the very best stuff for you, supposedly. That's the way they sell the feature originally. But the produce that we ended up getting was not hot.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just all they had or if they just don't give a shit, or what. At the one that we went to.
I'll tell you something that we've fallen into is when we get them is a lot of times getting one of those the rotisserie chickens. Man, I forgot how good those are.
Oh yeah.
I love me a Kroger's rotisserie chicken, man. That is good eats,
yeah.
and it's good.
Devour one of those things in one sitting by myself.
And then it's like, man, those are good leftovers too. I was like, oh yeah, that stuff is so tender. It's like, oh man, I should have been doing that a long time ago.
It's convenient for like it sucks having to pull all that apart if you're to clean the bones and everything. I don't care for doing that, but
yeah, I don't
it's
do
a good
that.
way to get some very good meat.
Yeah.
Very good tasting meat, and then you can add that to different dishes.
Yeah. If you were skilled to do that, yeah, make a little chicken tortilla soup or something, or make a little some of this or a little some of that.
That's if you don't, you just eat it all while you're trying to take it apart.
Yeah, that's like I like.
Oh crap! There's none left. Oh shit!
It was like. The problem is, it's like, oh man, I was like really hungry this last time, and it's like I grabbed a leg and I pulled it, and all I got was the bone because it was so tender, and it was just like all the meat was still there. It was like what? And then you're getting a little grabby with the chicken. Get to meat.
I want to try some KFC or something. It's been years since I've had any like fried chicken.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to stay away from fried foods for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, before I get back on the diet, I need to go ahead and have some KFC or something.
Everybody needs a little KFC.
Was there which one's Parfy like? Popeyes?
Popeyes, yeah.
Yeah. Some people swear by Churches, but I think I had them once and it was pretty greasy.
I wasn't a fan of Churches. Yeah, I didn't even know where Churches is around here anymore. And yeah,
I think there's more Popeyes now, I think, than there are Churches.
Yeah, I think they may have appropriated some of those as well. Some of them may have became.
Sounds funny. Damn, there's more Popeyes than there are Churches.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe with that one, that's what we'll end. And I think I'm going to add that as a quote. Add quote.
I had mentioned that I was trying to get a sourdough starter.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't get any yeast, which I still haven't been able to find any yeast in the stores. And it went like it's supposed to be like about 3 days before you start to see any real signs of life there. But it seemed to, on the second day, just go ape shit. Like it went crazy. It
was like the first day was like
on like the next feeding, it seemed that it's like I killed it or something. Which some things are saying like, oh yeah, you got to make sure you feed it every day. But most of the stuff I'm seeing is like, no, it's like impossible to kill pretty much. So I don't know what happened, but I've been trying to figure that out.
Huh.
Might just have to start over.
Yeah. I mean, hell, man, I can't even do sea monkey, so I don't think I could. I
made some sourdough pancake, like a scallion pancake. It was really good.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. It was like it came out like really crispy.
Yeah, it's like crispy on the outside, chewy on the inside.
Nice.
I put some. I didn't have any sesame seeds, so I used chia seeds and scallions with sea salt, a little pepper. Little soy sauce with some balsamic vinegar and a little oil for the dipping sauce. It's tasty.
All right, now I gotta go eat. I haven't had lunch. So.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
All right. Now
you had to mention the damn rotisserie chicken. I'm like, oh god.
Popeyes and Churches, shadows. shadows, not parv. I think there are more Popeyes than churches. All right. And with that, we will bid everybody an adieu, and an ashapo, and a sans serif, and a chayam potok, and a live long and prosper.
God bless you.
Yeah, thank you. And a live long then prosper. But don't look at it. Don't look at the feminine aspect of God. Which, it's kind of like
That
a
is
V.
fun.
It's like a V shape.
Meme now.
Yeah. It's
A
like
what?
and the thing is a V shape, and so when you're talking about the feminine aspect of God, it's just like that's
I don't think that's quite where they're going with it, but yeah.
Well,
That's funny.
you know, that's what we say, right? Because nobody ever thought like that back then. but we've discussed that. Oh yeah, they did. Look at a Grecian urn, and you'll find out.
Oh, I'm going to talk about that next time or something. I just found out that a bunch of South American, like Mayan, Incan, that type of Mesoamerica culture and stuff, historically, their views on homosexuality and stuff that they discovered through pottery.
Yeah, there's some crazy stuff too with like some Native American tribes, right? There's some Native American tribes that they would have a festival where a guy would dress up as a woman, and I believe they would have sexual relationships with this person. And
yeah, I saw a thing they were talking about how there's been archaeological discoveries, and there's some cultures that have had very minimal contact with outside influence. Their views on homosexuality and sexuality in general, and sexual practices and everything, is so different and so open-minded. And it was just that, the Christian missionaries came over and just beat their dogma into the cultures and stuff. They destroyed so much of the Mesoamerican art and anything. They tried to stamp that out so much and just say, like, no, you're wrong, this is the way this should be, this is an abomination, and just totally change their behavior, and just smashed a whole bunch of their pottery and stuff that depicted any of that, trying to stamp it out. Sad.
I was watching that Ragnarok show on Netflix, and it's over in Norway. Yeah, right, Norway, I believe. And
right.
And I think that's the leftmost of the Scandinavians countries.
The what?
I think it's the leftmost, the westernmost. I think it's on the west coast of the Scandinavians.
Little slack on my
geography.
Yeah.
You tell me, buddy. I am horrible. Yeah, Norway, Sweden, and Finland. It's on the. But and it takes place in the city, and they mention that the city is of note because it was the last city to turn to Christianity. So it was the last city to give up the Norse mythology for Christianity. And I was just like, how does that happen? How do you convert a whole country to a different religion? I can't even. I mean, could you imagine that now? It just seems. I don't know.
Yeah, my dad had talked about, like in Rome, they had many gods and goddesses and many temples to each of them, but they also were like, they didn't want to leave anybody out, and part of that was their culture and their religion and whatever, and another part was their ability to kind of assimilate culture and stuff and smooth things over with people, because they were trying to expand their empire or whatever, and they married their gods to ease kind of taking these other imposing themselves on these other cultures.
Yeah, you find too.
So,
good.
So they had a temple dedicated to like the unknown god.
Yeah. That's mentioned actually in the Bible, and they say that's God. Yeah. That's the real God.
So, yeah, that's what Dad said, was that he was like gleefully Like, haha, we got one over on the stupid people. We used that to get our foot in the door. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Well, and also it's like you realize that all the religious holidays have basis in pagan holidays, because that's another way that they used to get people on. It was that they basically adopted their holidays. So and it's like the dates that these things occur.
They destroyed their holy sites and built churches on top of it. They
so when you came to church, you came to church and you're like, what? Wait, but where's Zeus? Oh, don't worry about Zeus. Come on in though. We got cookies in the back. Come on.
Yeah.
Well,
There's great punch.
I like
great punch.
I like cookies.
Punch.
I like cookies. What did Zeus ever do for me anyway? But yeah, interesting. All right, well, for this on that note, we are actually definitely going to end it. So thanks again, brother, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Any parting words?
Just be kind to yourselves and one another.
Yep, that's a good one.
Make sure that you let everybody that you love know that you love them.
Take care of your own and keep good company.
And get some fresh air. Safely, wisely.
Yep, stay safe and sane.
Indeed.
Agreed. All right, brother. Love you, and I will talk with you soon. All right, have a good one. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Give us some outro music.